Okay, Terry E. Gioma, we're here another week, the Hub Challenge, and you are going to give us an update. First of all, you look beautiful. You look like you just came out of you have your headgear and it looks Indian, like from India.
Ooh, thank you.
Yeah.
This is actually from South Africa. I got this one in South Africa when I was in Cape Town. And then this is from good old Texas
Oh,
Mall.
oh, hey, Texas Mall, shout out to listen, mixing and matching and being your full self is what we're here for. So let me say thank you, first of all, for again taking the time. I was thinking today, I work 7 days a week. I'm like, you work every day, right, Kara? I was like, yeah, but I don't feel like it's work. But at the same time, I'm mindful that, time is all we have, really, that we can't take with us and that we have to respect. So I want to say I respect your time and I know that you're really guarded. But this is special, this challenge that you're doing. So I'm grateful that you are taking the time to also go through it every week. So thank you, Terry.
Thank you. And you're so right. Time is, oof, it's everything. I'm trying to start working less. I realize that on weekdays I get up at like 7:30 a.m. to trade, and then I'm talking to my students, the trade and travel students, at 7:30 p.m. So I've been working these like 15-hour plus days. And so now I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I get systems and teams in place so I don't have to work as much? So that's the new thing on my plate lately.
I love it. And I love that you're constantly, and we all should be, like thinking about how to make the time that we have here more efficient. I just got off the phone, it was like ripping and running this morning, got up early. I got to get my workout in. I got to do all these things. And I was like, okay, Terry, I got to do Terry. All right, let's push that back and out, but you realize bandwidth, we only have a limited amount. I know we're super women and supermen and we think we can do everything. We really cannot. So we have to manage every day. And it's like, okay, I need time for myself. I need to sometimes let other people do things because I know a lot of us are the type of people, I know I am. I want to do everything myself. I don't trust anybody to do it. But today I unleashed somebody on my team to just take over something. And I was like, all right, you got it. I'm going to sit back. I don't have the time to do it anymore. And I'm failing at it, So that
How
was
do you feel? How do you feel now that you let it go?
relieving. I feel like I was like, listen, I've been horrible at this particular area because I don't have the time to put on it. And it's important, but I can't do it. So I had to admit today, I don't have the time, the bandwidth, the energy. And this young lady is dope. She's amazing. All right, I gave her a new title, your editor in chief, and I
Nice.
just was typing an email to introduce her to the whole team. Take it over. So I feel good actually.
I love that. I love that. I'm realizing too that even though somebody on my team doesn't do it the way that I would have done it, at least it's done. The fact that I'm like trying to wait for me, nothing's going out. So at least they've done something. So that's been a little thing for me too.
All right, well, listen, shout out to evolving and letting some stuff go. That's the
Yeah.
message for this week. Let some stuff go. Let somebody else do it, and relieve yourself. Relief yourself. Yeah.
Yes. I'm thinking Frozen, let it go, let it go. I wish I could sing. Man, if I could sing, Karen, man,
Then you wouldn't
you
be
couldn't
doing
tell
this
me
this
nothing.
stuff here. So if you could sing, you wouldn't be teaching people how to trade. You'd be all over the world singing. So you talked last week about this being your gift.
Lord knew not to give me no other gifts.
That's right. So let's appreciate the gift you do have because it is definitely freeing some people. They're letting it flow. All right. So you ready to share?
Let's go. And this week we actually we don't have as much to share, so it won't take too much time. But I do want to make sure that I give some resources and tips about earnings because earning season is coming up. So I'm gonna give you a quick overview of how I did and like what we're looking at, and then we're gonna do some other knowledge this time. All right. So can you see the little side points?
Yep.
Perfect. All right. So this week we are actually up $77,850, which you'll notice is a little lower than last week. But it's deceiving. It doesn't show like how I really did. So it's kind of interesting. So just for all the newbies that come on and this is their first time watching, we are trading to raise money for a nonprofit called The Hub. And our goal is to raise $450,000 to donate to the nonprofit. And the way that I'm doing that is I started off with a bucket of $300,000, and my goal is every week to average about $3,000 a day and make $15,000 trading stocks and options to go towards donating to the Hub. I'm a day and swing trader and I use charts. So that's me. Now the update. So this week we're up $77,850.34, which is awesome. And there's a little typo here. So the account is ending at $377,850, and it says right here with unrealized loss of that actually should say of about 45,000. Do you guys see that here?
Wow. Okay.
Yep. So this is the amount, and then that unrealized profit is 45,000. Now that should have flown in, because I wanted to show you guys where we came from. So we were at like 300,000, then we went to 326,000, then we were at 334,000, then 375,000. 379,000 last week, and now we're at 377. So this is a little less than last week. But if you notice, for me to have an unrealized loss of 45,000, but the account to still be at 377,000, that means that I actually made quite a bit this week. It's just not showing up. So let me show you what I actually did. Go. There we go. Let me zoom in a little bit. So this is where we were the past weeks. I had made 32,000, then made 19,000, and then this is this week. So I actually made $44,535 this week. That's why, even though I have an unrealized loss of 45, it only shows that I'm down 1,000. Because on Wednesday, I made $40,690 by shorting the S&P. So what does shorting the S&P mean? Well, actually, here, let me go through this and then I'll make sure you can see my video again. But we made $40,000 on Wednesday, $1,190 on Thursday, $2,655 on Friday. So this week, I actually made $44,535. So I was pretty proud of myself. Our weekly goal is $15,000 and I made $44,000. And let me just run back and tell you one more time what shorting is. We've talked about it in some of the last videos, so I don't think we have to like harp on it this time. But shorting means I made money when the market was going down. So I actually had puts on the S&P, and as the S&P fell this week, I made that 40,000. And it was actually kind of crazy because I was in the post office, like talking to the lady and watching my cell phone at the same time. And so I'm like, I made 40,000 in the line at the post office. So
with the mask on, right?
With the mask on. And then she was like, in order to open a PO box, you need insurance. So I'm like sitting on my phone, looking at the trade and also trying to look at my phone to get insurance. It was a bit of a mess, but turned out pretty well. I also shorted Apple. And so right here, when I talk about the key takeaways, I want to just remind you, anytime but a company has a big event, you can buy into the event. They call it like buy the rumor, or I say buy the hype. But then when the event happens, most times the stock will sell off, and let's call it sell the news. So I want people to be aware of that. I had a couple traders in my course get caught in that. They were like, oh, but Apple's going to do so well because they have their big event this week announcing their 5G. And the cell phones were cool, but at the same time, people buy into the event and they sell the news. So I just want people to know that. And I will say, if you did this, you're not the only one. The loss I have is Apple stock, but I'm keeping it until next week because of earnings, which we'll talk about in a second. The same thing happened with Amazon. Everybody bought into Prime Day this week. Prime Day happened. It was, lackluster, and then now the stock fell off. But I will say the news is not the only reason that happened in Amazon. It very much was a technical thing. Amazon got back up towards 3,500. There were sellers in that level. And when I say sellers, I'm talking about the banks were selling, waiting for it to come back up to that area, and the stock sold off. That's something that you can see when you're reading a chart. Any questions on that so far, Karen?
No, because everything that you do is technical because you're a technical trader. And it's all about the charts. It's all about those candlesticks. It's all about reading the charts, and it's not about emotion. So yeah, I completely get it. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. I'm so excited that we're sharing this with people because I do think that this is something a lot of new traders get caught up in the news, and they try to trade based on, well, oh, this thing is happening in the news, and they don't realize that there's so much more to it that the banks know. Like the banks know that they've been having orders sitting in the computer around 3,400 or like 3,490 in Amazon. It's just sitting in the computer there. And as soon as the stock gets to that price, those orders are going to hit. But somebody that's a retail investor is not thinking like that. They're thinking, oh, Prime Day is coming. It just doesn't work like that. Another thing I will say is options accelerate gains. One of the things that differentiates trade and travel, like my trade and travel students from my VIP students, is my VIP students know how to use options. And recently this week, I noticed that there was kind of a bit of like I could see the difference in their gains this week a lot more. The trade and travel students, they had some opportunities, but their wins were like 1,000. And my VIP students, they're trying to go for the $10,000 in a day club. And they're like hitting bigger gains. And I think it's because you can take the same trade with stocks and options, but options is 100 shares at a time. So they're just accelerating their growth. So I want to point that out. When you feel like you've mastered stocks, then you can start switching over to options. And then earnings. So let me stop sharing here and see if it will let me share my whole screen. Oh, it says I'm disabled. Can you make me a code?
Oh yeah, hold on. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Go to, what am I doing? Participants, Terry, more, allow. I'm gonna make you the host.
Okay. All right. Let's see if I can share my screen. Okay, guys. Are you seeing a chart right now?
Yes.
Okay. So I had just pulled this one up earlier because we were talking about the S&P, and just to show you one more time, like the S&P, these were the highs before coronavirus, before COVID, and then it dropped way down. We came back up to those same highs recently and then kept going. And anytime you push through all-time highs, it can keep going for a while because you're waiting for more sellers to come in. The bank started selling off around here, around 35.43. And then what we noticed this week is we came up to that same level. And of course, the bank started selling off. So this was where I made the most of my money this week when the S&P started selling off over here towards the right. So I wanted to show you that. But then this is earnings. So earnings is every quarter, the companies report out how they're doing. So they let you know how their revenue has been doing and how their expenses are. And you're able to see how their expenses are going when they report the earnings number, because that's revenue minus expenses, right? And then they also forecast how they're going to do the next quarter, and sometimes even the rest of the year. And that is actually coming up for a lot of companies this week and next week. So I want to give you guys some resources, because one of the most important things you need to do as a trader is you need to have these earnings dates marked down on your calendar, and then you have to decide how you're going to play it. Here's a couple pieces of advice from a professional. Earnings is like throwing the dice. You never know how a stock is going to do after earnings. You just don't know. Sometimes they could have the best earnings ever and the stock still fall. Or sometimes they have bad earnings and the stock rise. There's no surefire way to know what's going to happen after earnings. So what I actually encourage my students to do is, if they're not in a stock, I tell them don't get into the stock until after earnings. Some of them will try to gamble and they'll say, "Oh, let me get in and let me just see what happens." But from my own experience, I've lost the most of my money when I try to play earnings, because you just don't know what's going to happen. And that's not the way that I trade. We want a strong reward to risk. We want to know what our probabilities are before the trade. So I don't think you should play earnings. Now, what do you do if you're already in a stock? If you're already in a stock and you feel like that stock is a good stock and you're going to hold it for the long term, then you can hold it through earnings, but you just got to know that earnings day, you may see your account drop significantly, or you may see it rise. But you just gotta, I just personally feel you need to know and have all the tools at your disposal going into earnings.
And for the record, this is for educational and entertainment value. We are not telling you what to do. This is not at all this is not a financial advisor page. This is Terry sharing what she's doing with the rest of you as instruction, but please do not do this based on we are having this conversation. So if you invest in any of the stocks, that's on you. All right.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Karen. So the question now is, well, Terry, how do I find out when earnings are for the stocks that I'm investing in? So the first place that I'll say is CNBC. These are everything I'm about to share with you are free tools for you to know how to figure out when your company reports earnings. So if you go to CNBC.com, you can also download the CNBC app onto your cell phone. Both of them will allow you to put together a watch list of companies that you like. And what's really cool about CNBC is if you download it on your cell phone, then it will give you alerts anytime that company has news. So I think that's super important. But let me just show you, like if you pull up Apple here in CNBC and you scroll down, so like this is the chart, and definitely these are important. But if you scroll down,
can you pause for a second?
Sure.
Is this Apple after the split?
Yes.
So when it split, it was higher and now it's dropped?
Oh, right now this is on a 1-day time frame. If we want to see the full thing, you'd have to come over at the top of this. Like we could look at 6 months.
Right, or year
and
to
then
date.
You can see, you can see that Apple was coming up. It came all the way up to 130. Now that's 130 is the price after the split. So you have to take that into account. It came up to 130 and then it dropped off, and now it's coming back up.
Okay.
You're welcome. And then if you scroll down here, and so that might be another week, we'll look at charting a little bit, and I can maybe even walk you guys through some things that are important in CNBC since it's free, and some other tools. Like I use TradeStation to trade with. That's my broker, but they have a free tool, Trading View, that we can also potentially look at too. But the key here is if you scroll down, once you're looking at the quote and look down to events, it'll have the earnings date. And so here, Apple is reporting earnings on October 29th, which is next week. So this is something that you should all write in your calendars if you're invested in Apple, because you're going to want to know, like, dang, that day it's probably going to happen after market hours. But that day, your portfolio is probably going to move, and you don't know if it'll move down or up because we don't know what earnings will say. But it's important that you at least know what's happening. Okay, so write that in your calendars. If you're a trader, now here's the difference. If you're a trader, how do I want you to use this? On 10/29, I want you to be watching. Watch what happens after the market. Watch what happens when Apple reports. See if they say that they have positive earnings or negative earnings. And then the next 3 days, usually the stock will respond to the earnings, and then you can jump in. If the stock comes down, maybe you'll have an opportunity. Or if the stock goes up, that might be an opportunity for you to sell some and take some profits. But that's how you're going to use this
Uh-oh, your audio went out. Hold on. What happened? Come on, Jesus. Cannot hear you, Terry. Is that on my
I
end?
can't.
Nope. Yep, there we go. Oh,
Am I back?
yes, you are back. All right.
Okay. See,
Yeah,
that must have been good information. Y'all couldn't even hear me.
I heard you said that it could be an opportunity if the stock goes up to sell and make some profit, or if it goes down to buy in because it's low. That's what I heard.
Yes, exactly. That's great. You're such a great student, Karen.
I, actually, I'm not, but I think you're a great teacher.
Thank you. So yeah, I want to make sure that you write that in your calendar, okay? Especially because I know you're actually in Apple. Write that in your calendar that that's the day you need to pay attention to your portfolio.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. And some other resources as well. So somebody might say, okay, Terry, okay, I have my watch list. I'm looking at these companies, but how do I see a bigger scale of everything that's reporting? So this is when I would give you a couple more resources. So one of those resources is Yahoo Finance. They have a really great earnings calendar, and you can Google it. Just say Yahoo Finance earnings calendar, and it will tell you every day who's reporting. So you can come here to the 19th, scroll down, and see like if somebody was invested in Halliburton, it's reporting on Monday. And then you can just go by days. The 21st, I believe, is a pretty big day because I think Netflix is reporting and Chipotle. So you scroll down. Let me see, is it this day? Don't see that
I
one.
saw Chipotle.
Oh, you saw Chipotle? Okay. So then that means I think Netflix is on the same day as Chipotle, but as people are going through, this is a resource. So you can actually see every single day who's reporting, and the market will move based on these earnings reports. So this is going to be for some traders just trade earnings. 3-4 times a year, they make all their money trading earnings. I personally, like I said, I don't like trading earnings. I trade after earnings and see if there's some opportunities. All right. And then somebody might say, okay, Terry, this is a great resource. I can go by day, but then how do I narrow it down to the ones that are most important? And that's what I would say. There's another resource, Earnings Whisperer. Now, Earnings Whisperer, they have on their website, it looks a lot like Yahoo because it just has kind of a list. But if you go to their Instagram or Twitter, but I think I like the Instagram one. Shout out to Earnings Whisperer too. They should probably give me like an affiliate because I'm referring a lot of people to them, but they're good.
Yes, earnings whisperers. Cut the check.
Yes.
Cut the check.
Um, but if you go to Instagram, they actually make these calendars and they show the icons of the company. So this makes it real easy to look at.
Procter and
So
Gamble, IBM. Yeah, that is dope.
yes, and it tells you what's before the market and after the market, like when they report. And why is this important? Because say Netflix reports after the close and you're trying to trade it on Tuesday, you're probably going to see it run up into the close, but if you don't know that this is coming, you could lose everything right after the market closes. So you need
Wow.
to know, you need to know, is it coming at the beginning of the day or after
So
the
Procter
market?
Gamble comes at the beginning and then
Mhm.
Netflix at the end
Yep, that's right.
on
Yep.
Tuesday.
And see, here's that. I was looking for Chipotle on the same day, but no, Tesla and Chipotle are both on Wednesday, and Netflix is on Tuesday. So that's what I was thinking
Procter and
about.
Gamble, which is another huge one.
Yep, Procter and Gamble is on Tuesday.
And both Tesla and Chipotle, they trade after hours.
Yes, that's right. And let me
Okay.
see if there's any other, like IBM. Some people are probably in IBM. That one has earnings on Monday after the close. So that means for me, if I was teaching my students, what I would tell them is, I don't want you to jump into IBM on Monday, but I do want you to look at the chart and chart it, like chart the where the banks are buying, chart where the banks are selling, and then after the earnings report, then we're
Watch
going
it.
to see, yes, does it come into one of those areas and give you an opportunity? AT&T and Coca-Cola are next week as well. So there's a
That's
lot
at
to
the
look out
beginning.
for,
That's
guys.
the top of the market, and then you have Capital One and Samuel Adams, the beer company. They trade. They're trading. Yes,
I
that
think
I guess that
so.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's after the close. Okay.
Yep. And Intel too.
Oh,
And
Intel
American
from doing you
Express.
doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
American Express is on Friday.
On Friday. Yep. So these are
Interesting.
what we'll be looking for. And if somebody was looking to get into one of these, so like say you have here, I'll stop sharing for a second. But say you have a shopping list of companies that you've been wanting to get into. This would be a good opportunity to say, you know what? I'm going to watch their earnings, see how they report, see how they're doing. And then if by chance the stock falls after earnings, that might give me a good opportunity to get into the stock. So yeah, so I really wanted to just make sure you guys knew about earnings this time. And then let's do a quick recap of just how we're doing for the hub. So let me come back this way. All right, can you see my takeaways again?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Oh, there was one other thing too I wanted to bring up. So this week, just in financial news, Robinhood and E-Trade both put out announcements to all of their traders that they should start building up cash before the election. And they
Wait, you
said,
mean Robinhood that got hacked a couple of weeks ago? Robinhood that got hacked? Where
yeah,
they
this
got
is
hacked and
Robinhood.
people lost all their money? That company? Okay, go ahead.
Right. I don't use Robinhood. I'm just saying. They're also too that so what they were doing is they were saying that if you were in certain stocks, then you had to have more cash in your account. And they only gave people 24 hours to get the cash in their account. Now here's the problem with that. Many people need more than 24 hours to find cash. You can't just tell me today that I need to put another $3,000 in my account or you're going to freeze things. And then another thing is with margin, the bank has the ability to sell the position. So what if you were down in a position, but you were strategically holding it? Now they can sell and you'll be down and not be able to get your money back. So like that's what was happening this week. And I don't necessarily agree with the way they went about it. I don't. I think that some other banks have let us know way in advance, hey, you're going to need some more money to hold these positions. And I think that's how Robinhood should have done it too. But I do think there's something to preparing for the election. So I'm going to take that away for a second. But as the election nears, there's 2 weeks, there will be volatility. And one thing I want to tell my students too is you don't have to rush into a position right now, especially not one that is expecting the market to go up. We just saw that the S&P is near its all-time highs. So there's no real reason to think that in the next 2 weeks is going to keep pushing higher. It might, but that's not worth the risk. So in the next 2 weeks, I would be very careful about what you enter. There's certain times that it's like earnings for the whole market. One of those is Fed announcements. That's unpredictable earnings for the whole market. The whole market drops, the whole market rises. Another one is elections. So the same way that I'm telling you to approach earnings, just wait till after the event. I think you could also wait until after the elections if you're not sure, like if you're not quite sure what's going to happen, which none of us are, right? So
Are there
just wanted
certain stocks that are election proof? Like, are there certain? No, it's just so the whole market is just going to be
whole
volatile.
market. Yeah,
Okay.
like if you noticed on Friday at the very end of the day, last 30 minutes, the whole market fell.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, everybody. Nobody it wasn't like, oh, these companies are good, these companies are bad. Like no, the whole S&P fell, the whole Dow fell, and it fell fast. And I think that that's going to be something that we'll see after the election. No matter how good of a company you are, no matter how good your earnings are, if, for whatever reason, the market falls, everything for at least for me, and I've seen this before, everything in my watch list will be red. It's no respecter of company. Everything is red. Or there might be a positive note. Everything is green. But at the same time, like, I just
Can't
wouldn't
trust
wait.
it. Right.
Right. I'd wait. So that you might see that even with me, like I've been even more selective now this week. I traded one big day on Wednesday and some smaller things the rest, but you just have to be a lot more discerning in your account, and that's okay. Like we don't have to trade every day.
So you didn't trade Monday and Tuesday of last week at all?
I watched it and there actually were some opportunities, but I was just cautious. So I didn't sell anything. I got into a position on Tuesday, but I didn't sell it. So like I'm one of those traders. I'm watching the market every day, but that doesn't mean that I take a trade every day. Mm-hmm. All right. So wrapping up this last piece. So here's where we are to date. We are up $77,850. We're 17.3% to our goal. Like I said, we're just a little bit lower than we were last week. But at the same time, one thing I'm really proud of is now we're able to use the bank's money. Like we're using the money that we've made so far in the trades. So what do they call it? Using the house's money. So even if I were to lose money on this trade that I have right now, at the same time, we're already up. So I'm using the house's money. In terms of weekly progress, this is where we were. We were 26,000, 7,000, 44,000. This week we're down just a little bit. Like I said, I'm okay with that. And then monthly progress, we're still 17,000 ahead of where we were supposed to be by this time. So in 4 weeks, we've made $77,000 towards the hub.
Amazing.
What you think about that, Karen?
I think it's like I'm loving the process. I'm loving the lessons. I love that you broke down earnings today. I also, because I dividend trade, I need to know when these things are happening, the earnings and the next dividend cycle, because you want to get in before that so you can get all your dividends. These are little nuances that increase your wealth and your value. But if you don't know it, you're going to leave money on the table. So I'm glad that you're giving these lessons in addition to making the money, of course, for the hub, which is my nonprofit. So this is an experiment that I figured we couldn't lose, because if it didn't work out, the only thing that would happen is that people would learn how to trade. Worst case scenario. Best case scenario, we'd have, springboard into doing this journalism training, which was part of the conversation I had earlier today with my team. It's like, okay, we have a couple of more people we're going to bring on. I'm staffing up no matter what. I'm building a company no matter what. This just makes it easier to do it and to be able to pay salaries. That's it. Pay salaries and go train some of these journalists all over the country. So I thank you for your stewardship and your obedience to the missive that has been put on your heart. And I'm grateful that you are such an able teacher.
Thank you. Amen. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right. So next week's going to be interesting.
Yeah, as we get closer to the election, things are going to get a little spicy. And then also as earnings start coming out, like I'm excited to see, like if we have some opportunities come up that are just like too good to pass up because of earnings. So it'll be a fun week. I'm actually looking forward to it.
All right. Well, we're going to touch and agree. I pray that you get everything that you're supposed to get, and we'll touch and agree. Thank you. Thank you for everything. I love you, Terry Ijeoma. You're amazing. Have a great week next week.
Thank you.
And thank you guys. Listen, share this video if you're in this space at all and you want to help people learn and grow. Share all of the videos, because this I have not seen any place on the internet, any place where somebody is this transparent about taking you through the paces, especially somebody that looks like us. I haven't seen that at all. So I want to just say, share this, hit the like button, follow Terry as well. I'm an investor. I am an investor on Instagram, and of course Trade and Travel is Trade and Travel on YouTube.
On YouTube,
so follow her there, because her YouTube is amazing as well as her Instagram. And thank you again, Terry. I appreciate you.
Oh, and we're enrolling now for the course. So if they want to get into,
I'll drop the link in the description.
Enroll now for November 1st.
November 1st. All right, I'm dropping the link. So take her class, because it's the only way you're really going to know how to do it. You can watch these videos and get some. She goes in. I know. Okay. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you. See you later.